Alright, hello, welcome to this New York City Crime and Fire News update for Monday, May 10th, 2021. There is a lot we got to get into. Everybody's been talking about the shooting in Times Square, and I've been constantly being given updates on it via Twitter, via Instagram, and we're going to talk about the shooting and so much other crime that New York One has ignored. I know the Times Square shooting is a big deal, and right in the theater district, but there's so much other crime that should be covered, and just it doesn't seem to get covered. I mean, the 12-year-old boy got covered. I think there's an article in the Brooklyn paper about it. I'll look for it after, but the point is, there's just so much that New York One could cover, and they just don't want to. I got a couple from the Daily News we're gonna read. I have to literally figure out a way to get past the paywall, and thankfully I have, because the Daily News is just, I mean, it's like Newsday on Long Island. You have to pay to get the real news. But before I ramble on any longer, we're gonna get into the Firewire first. So, first incident we're gonna get into is a fire that happened in Ridgewood, and New York One didn't cover. So, let's get into this incident. Fast-moving fire left 4 people injured in Ridgewood on Wednesday, May 5th. Firefighters responded to a report of a fire on the second floor of a 2-story private dwelling located at 16-29 Decatur Street between Wyckoff and Cypress Avenue at around 7 p.m. in the evening. Units arrived as the fire was engulfing the first floor of the private home and used 3 hose lines to suppress the blaze. The blaze was under control by 8 p.m. according to an FDNY spokesperson. The building was charred with smoke stains, broken windows, and wooden splinters as firefighters worked to check for more pockets of fire. Yeah, so definitely going to use this as my thumbnail today, because I really do not want to focus it a lot on the shooting in Times Square, but FDNY officials said units had to perform extensive overhaul as there was a lot of clutter and debris, which made it difficult for the 60 firefighters who responded to this blaze to hose and conduct searches. So it says here that 1 civilian and 2 firefighters were injured, but declined medical assistance according to officials, while 1 firefighter was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. So that's good news. So that's a good thing that this fire was contained in less than an hour, but again, you think New York One's going to cover it? No. There's proof that there was fire in this house. Look at the pictures. And surprisingly, if this was Ridgewood, you'd think the Queens Chronicle would cover this, since the Chronicle's offices are in the shops at Atlas Park. Okay, then we're going to watch this video. This was a bus fire that viewer Andrew Lee made me aware of on Facebook a couple days ago. So look at this. This was in the Bronx, as you can see here. The bus got into an accident with the motorcycle when it caught on fire. So let's read the details from WABC TV. So it says here, 8 people were injured when an MTA bus caught fire after being hit by a motorcycle in the Bronx, authorities said on Sunday. This incident happened on Saturday, May 8th, just shortly after 9 p.m. at Jennings Street and Southern Boulevard, a spokesman for the MTA said. Spokesperson. I gotta start reading that correctly. Photos from the scene show flames shooting from the bus. The fire department responded and took 1 passenger to Jacoby Hospital. Information on that person's condition was not available as of tonight, May 10th. 7 other bus riders suffered minor injuries that did not require medical attention. So, let's see. They're not going to say the... they're not even going to say the condition of the motorcyclist. Okay. And then look at this. This happened today in Brooklyn, and New York One didn't even cover this. Shame on you. Shame on you, New York One. Okay? Alright, so this happened on May 10th. So here's what happened. So it says here, first responders rescued 24 people from an elevator that fell several feet in Sunset Park's Industrial City on Monday morning. A mix of civilians, marshals, and officers, including firefighters, packed into the freight elevator of the commercials complex Building 6, likely heading to the offices they recently occupied at 3434th Street. Oh, okay, so firefighters responded. Okay. Good news is, as the elevator did fall down, it says here that only one elevator passenger reported minor back pain and was taken to Langone Hospital in Sunset Park. Okay, good news there. Passengers were only trapped in the elevator for a short while. Firefighters responded to the call shortly after 10 a.m. and released the group before the clock struck 10:30 in the morning. So that's good news at least. So very quickly, let's just go through the fire wire, and then we're going to go right into the incident that happened in Times Square. Okay, Staten Island has activity. Whoa! Okay, this is extreme here. 12-9 reported on the E train earlier this afternoon. Wow. They requested power off. Person underneath the train. Wow. So there you go. Problems on the Queens Boulevard line. And I'll mention that there was an electrical issue Con Ed had over the weekend. Just a joke, you know. And trust me, we're going to read this article. Okay, anything else in the Firewire? Okay, fire in Long in Astoria. Okay, this is 41-02 Broadway. Oh, more activity in Queens. And then there's another in the Lawton section of Queens. Alright, let's move on to the shooting that happened in Times Square over the weekend. I was one of the first to, of course, break the news as soon as it was coming over the wires on Saturday afternoon. I went on Instagram, and as soon as I knew that this was happening, I had to hop online and start covering it, of course. I want to thank New York One because they were the first live on the scene. None of the other stations on a Saturday night were live at Times Square as this was happening. So, New York One literally sent out a reporter and covered this. So, kudos to them. And even News 12 covered this in Long Island. So, that's how much of a big deal the story was. But that's very rare that News 12 would cover a story in Manhattan. But let's read the details. Police continue to search Monday for the man accused of firing wildly at another man in Times Square on Saturday, May 8th, missing his target by hitting 3 people, including a young child. Saturday afternoon shooting rattled Midtown, forcing authorities to evacuate the pedestrian hub as they searched for the suspect. The injured included a 23-year-old woman visiting from Rhode Island, a 43-year-old woman from New Jersey, and a 4-year-old girl who was from Brooklyn, who was set to undergo surgery after being shot in the leg. All 3 victims who were taken to Bellevue Hospital on Saturday have been released from Bellevue. So this is excellent news. Thank goodness. And I'll mention the lady who was shot from Jersey was actually on the news today, so she did an interview. I mean, she's holding up, but I'm sure she's shaken after what happened, of course. So we do have a wanted flyer of the suspect. I'll show you the wanted flyer as we go along here. Multiple outlets identified the suspect as 32-year-old Farrakhan Muhammad, who sold CDs in Times Square and was trying to shoot his brother, according to the New York Times. So we do have a video surveillance of the suspect, Farrakhan Muhammad. That's his name again? Yes, Farrakhan Muhammad. Okay. Got the name right now. So this is the suspect that they are looking for. We'll try to give you a description of the suspect. The suspect was last seen wearing a t-shirt with the number 9 on it. Black pants, carrying a duffel bag. Possibly that's where the firearm was being stored, possibly. And That's the latest description of the suspect I can give you. So there is more specifics in the flyer. So we'll bring that up, and we'll also show you quickly the officer who actually put the girl in the ambulance on Saturday afternoon. So we'll show you the picture of the officer because it's she's been doing TV interviews all day today, so for all we know, this suspect probably was let out. Probably had prior convictions. Probably got out on bail reform for all we know. Alright, so here we go. Midtown South Detective Squad is seeking assistance in locating Mr. Farik and Muhammad in regards to a non-fatal shooting that happened in Times Square on May 8th, 2021. At approximately, I'm trying to think, this is military time, so 13 would be 1 o'clock, 14 would be 2, 15 would be 3. Oh, shortly before 5 p.m., okay. This happened in front of 1515 Broadway. The suspect discharged a firearm, striking 3 innocent bystanders at West 45th Street and 7th Avenue. So, as soon as I heard this was between West 44th and West 45th, this literally hit way too close to home for me. Because, again, I'm very familiar with the Times Square area. I've walked numerous times from West 45th Street when I've come from Rockefeller Plaza, when I've gone to book off, of course, by 6th Avenue. So, very close connection to me in that area. And of course, right by the Disney store. So they said the girl was literally walking out of the Disney store, buying toys inside, and she came down the escalator. They caught her on tape with the 23-year-old woman, and sad to hear that this had to happen to her. Last known, the suspect was seen at West 42nd Street and 10th Avenue. So, I will mention that I gave the phone number to Crime Stoppers on my Twitter feed yesterday. So it's 877-577-8477. In Español, 888-577-7482, which is pista. So again, this is a very armed and dangerous suspect. There is a 5-borough manhunt for this suspect as we speak. We know. And we also know that the suspect had a last known address in the confines of the 105 precinct, 154-71 Brookville Boulevard. So again, this is in the confines of the 105 precinct, so I'm sure they're on high alert. They probably went over to his house over the weekend, part of their investigation, of course, but this guy's going to get caught. But the issue is going to be the bail reform. He'll probably get out before his sentencing. So, hopefully Cy Vance can do one more good thing before he leaves in the fall, of course. So anyhow, I just want to show you the lady who, NYPD officer, because she's all over the news today. Times Square. Let's see if she comes up. Yeah, she's here. I can tell. Yeah, so let's see if we can get you a news article. Yeah, we have a New York Post article. So I'll show you the woman who possibly saved this girl's life. And she deserves a lot of credit. So this is Officer Elisa Vogel. So this is the officer who may have saved the girl's life by carrying her into the ambulance in the area as this was happening on Saturday afternoon. So we know the Midtown South police officer is a married woman. We know that she just recently became a mother herself. So very good maternal instinct on this woman's behalf. I'll give her credit. And she should really be called a hero, because honestly, if that officer wasn't there and she wasn't dispatched the way she was on Saturday afternoon, this could have ended up very bad for this 4-year-old girl. So, I'm sure they're likely going to give her a medal. That would be the right thing to do. There's always a best case where she could probably move up in the NYPD. So, there is body cam footage, but I'm not going to show you that. So I just wanted to show you the picture of the officer who was hailed a hero. So let's get to our daily news articles, because there's just a lot of nonsense we need to get into before I get to the disturbing incident that happened in Midtown where somebody was found dead in a hotel room. So we're going to get to it. But this is more urgent. I need to show you this. And honestly, New York One should have covered this, but they didn't. Seems the Daily News was the only one that covered it. So let's read this. Wild West shootout in the Bronx panics pedestrian and wounds man. A broad daylight Wild West shootout on a Bronx street wounded one man and sent panicked pedestrians scrambling for safety, police said on Sunday. Shots rang out on Sheridan Avenue near East 166th Street in the Concourse section of the Bronx at 4:20 p.m. Friday, police said. Startling surveillance video released by cops show about 10 people running for their lives as 3 men scramble down the sidewalk. With pistols in their outstretched hands, fire away one after the other. One gunman appears to shoot at another of the firing men. A 30-year-old man was struck once in the foot and rushed to nearby Lincoln Hospital in stable condition, police said. Cops were unsure if the victim was involved in the mayhem or just another innocent bystander. Police believe a physical altercation escalated into the shootout. There have been no arrests made. So, see, look how crazy this is. In broad daylight, And they clearly have the guys on tape with the firearms. Ooh, at least 3 guns. I mean, I don't know how in the world can you justify that. So let's get to the subway crime, and then we're going to get to something very disturbing that happened here in Queens. And we have a lot of stuff we got to cover in Queens, by the way, because the crime is just out of control here again in Queens. What else is new? They always talk about how Brooklyn has crime. Queens is really always seen its fair share, too. So, here we go. This is a disturbing one here. And I want to give Jonathan D'Souza from Passengers United the credit for making me aware of the story. So, it says here, man slashed with razor, tore, stabbed with screwdriver by strangers in separate Manhattan subway attacks. So, this is what Jonathan keeps talking about. The mayor can act like everything is fine in the subway system, but again, we know the reality. It's not fine. And, I'll just say this. I'm going to say this very carefully. The MTA can ask for all the cops in the world, but I don't know why our governor just can't send state police down. So, let's just read this article. A strap hanger was slashed with a razor during an argument with strangers on a Harlem subway platform just hours after a tourist was stabbed with a screwdriver in an unprovoked attack on a train in Lower Manhattan. Both men were attacked in front of their shocked families. The underground mayhem kicked off at 7:50 p.m. Sunday when a 43-year-old man visiting the city from Ecuador with his family was stabbed with a screwdriver by a stranger on a downtown number 2 train. As the train approached Chambers Street, the victim was stabbed without warning in the chest and left arm by a stranger. Medics took the victim in stable condition to Mount Sinai Beth Israel. The victim's wife pointed out the suspect to cops as he tried to get away when the doors opened at the Chambers Street stop. And the good news is we have an arrest. So, cue the Law and Order music. Peterson Morant of the Bronx was charged with attempted murder and weapon possession. And we have another incident. 3:20 a.m. Monday, a 31-year-old man got into an argument with a trio of men who appeared to be homeless on the uptown platform of the number 6 train inside the 116 Lexington Avenue station in East Harlem. One of the men slashed the victim's lip and face with a razor as the victim's horrified family looked on. So, more arrests. Look at that. Well, maybe there is some law and order, but the point is, again, the subways are not safe. There you go. And then here's another story. Here's another one. Seriously, Daily News. I really hate how many ads you have to put in your website. So let's get here. So it says here, City Parks worker shoved onto the subway tracks in Harlem. He may have not been alive if fellow commuters hadn't jumped down to pull him to safety. Randall Weaver said he barely had any time to react when a crazed attacker shoved him onto the Brooklyn-bound tube tracks at the 135th Street station at 5:15 on Saturday morning, excuse me. Weaver had just missed his train and watched his assailant, identified as Keyshawn McConney, stepping off the departing train, left through the turnstile, and started banging out in a service booth, acting all wild and talking garbage. Malakri then jumped the turnstile to re-enter the station and seemed to have quieted down, Weaver said. The victim said, all of a sudden, I found myself pushed down onto the tracks. Yeah, and this is the guy who was pushed. Right there, see? 3 men sprang into action to help him out. So... So this guy originally refused medical attention. He refused an MTA's worker's suggestion that he would get medical attention and got on the next train. His head and shoulders started throbbing by the time he got to 110th Street. He took an uptown train back to 135th Street and found the worker, said he needed medical help, and believe it or not, the suspect did get arrested. So that's good news. So maybe the additional cops are helping. I don't know. But again, when you have mentally ill homeless all over the system, it's going to be uncontrollable in most cases. So that's why you got to maybe consider ditching the contract with the Bowery Commission. Because where are they? You know, they should really be in Harlem confronting this. But they're missing in action, so there really needs to be something done with the Bowery Residents Commission. That's all I'm going to say on that, because this could have been prevented if mental health resources and this guy going to a psych ward, you know, this could have been prevented, you know, but that's what happens in lawless NYC. And then this. This is just disturbing to find that this happened here in Queens. 33-year-old man shot in his car. So what happened in Long Island City? And this is what I keep talking about. Northwest Queens is in serious trouble, folks. And this is what I am so glad when somebody who I'm associated with online told me they're moving to Brooklyn. A very safe part of Brooklyn. So, my online acquaintance is making the right move and getting out. That's all I'm going to say. The victim was sitting in front of the passenger seat of a 2007 Mercury Milan at 12th Street and 40th Avenue when 2 men approached and opened fire at 12:05 in the morning. The driver, who was not struck, drove the victim 3 blocks around the Queensbridge houses before flagging down cops at Vernon Boulevard and 41st Avenue. Yep, and there's the shell casings. Oh, and the bad news is, medics rushed the victim to New York Presbyterian Cornell but could not be saved. Yep. It says here, gang-related. You know, this is the problem. I'm really scared for this area, folks. I really am scared for Long Island City and Astoria. You know, I'm I'm just really scared to think that this once thriving area of Queens is going in a very bad direction right now. So, I'm going to go back to my main tab here. Just close out this. Okay. So now let's get into this. This is just disturbing. Midtown murder mystery. Man was found stabbed in a hotel room. Detectives are investigating the gruesome stabbing of a man inside a hotel room in Midtown on Saturday night. Officers from the Midtown South Precinct, and I'm just going to say this quickly. Midtown South was really busy on Saturday, dealing with the Times Square shooting and dealing with this. So the victim was believed to be in his 30s, stabbed multiple times in the neck, shoulder, and head at the Grand Hotel at 38 West 31st Street at about 11:35 p.m. Sadly, the victim was taken to Bellevue Hospital where he was pronounced dead. EMS units... Oh, right. Police do not know the man's identity. Sources familiar with the investigation said that no identification was found at the crime scene. Detectives also do not know a possible motive for the killing. Officers had arrived at the scene after receiving a 911 call about an assault in progress. No arrests have been made thus far in the ongoing investigation. Police did not provide a description of the suspect. So, there you go. Let's take a look and see what else we can find before I... Right, I had this one to get into. Yeah, even AM New York brought it up. Right, so, where's the shooting in Harlem? Okay, here it is. Cops said the assault happened in front of an apartment in Harlem at 7:45 p.m. on May 9th, involving a shooting of a 49-year-old man. Wow. This happened in the fourth floor of the building, Wagner Houses at 505 East 120th Street. According to law enforcement sources, the victim had opened the door to his residence and became engaged in a dispute with the perpetrator. The words turned bloody, cops said, when the suspect pulled out a gun and opened fire, striking the victim in the lower back. After firing the shot, the suspect fled the scene in an unknown direction. Officers from PSA 5 in the 25th Precinct responded to the shooting. EMS then rushed the victim to Harlem Hospital, where he was listed in stable condition. No arrests have been made. The police have released a description as a black man wearing a blue sweatshirt and gray sweatpants. Okay. So move on now. Oh, forgot about this one. Arrest of suspect in deadly Queens subway stabbing station. Oh. Well, I don't know how I'm going to say it correctly now, but... We have an arrest of the incident that took place back on Friday, April 23rd. Mark Albano of Grand Avenue in Elmhurst was apprehended after police obtained higher quality footage of a fatal stabbing of an unidentified man in his 40s to 50s at the Manhattan-bound platform of the Grand Avenue Newtown Station. Officers from the 110 Precinct in Transit District 20 found the unidentified victim at 5:42 a.m. on April 23rd unconscious. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Law enforcement sources said Albano was known to officers and upon being brought in for question was deemed a prime suspect. He is now being charged with murder and criminal possession of a weapon. If the victim in this killing is indeed homeless, it raises larger questions about the homeless in the subways and how the government is working to help them. So you had Sarah Feinberg on the radio show over the weekend talking about this. Right. Okay, moving on now. Let's see if anything else. I want to see if they had the thing about the kid. Okay, let's see here. More shootings. I mean, again, New York 1 could cover so much. See, I want to read this. This is another disturbing one. I'll put that in the tab. Let's see. Well, at least we have some good news about the Central Park incident, so that I want to go into. And I want to see if they had the kid who was killed in Brooklyn, because he was bullied. Let's see, crime has to be here. I'd be very surprised if the 12-year-old was not here. Nope. Wow, not even on here. Let's see. What's that loud noise? Huh? Alright, give me a few. What? Yeah. Alright. Alright, there we go. I found it. Because I wasn't going to read the Daily News because the Daily News has the paywall. Alright, so it says here, police are investigating the death of a 12-year-old boy from Brooklyn whose family said he died after being attacked in school over a dollar and a dare to turn deadly. Emergency responders found Rami Felicent losing consciousness at his Flatbush home. The preteen was taken to Kings County Hospital where he died. So I will bring this up that New York One actually covered this in depth. So that's surprising. They're looking if Felicent was attacked, and the NYPD thinks this death is suspicious. And it says here the kid might have been bullied. 2 other children jumped him on Wednesday last week. And then it says that he got hit in the head on Thursday. After the second attack, Rami told the teacher that he'd been jumped and the attacker had been paid $1 by a third student. So, that's the problem. There's going to be a real criminal investigation into the school here. Because the adults are going to have to be held liable, too, for this. Some of them are. So, there you go. Alright, so before I move on to the Courier, I have 2 more articles I need to read from AM New York. Cops seeking creep who raped woman inside Riverside Park. Detectives are on the hunt for a creep who sexually assaulted a woman inside Riverside Park early Saturday morning. So this happened on May 8th. Law enforcement sources said the victim was attacked in an apparent sex deal gone bad within a wooded area of Riverside Drive between West 115th and West 116th Street at 4 a.m. Based on a preliminary investigation, police learned the victim, whose age was not disclosed, met up with the perpetrator in the park and agreed to offer him sexual favors in exchange for cash. The suspect, however, said he had no money, then forcibly removed the woman's clothing and raped her. Following the attack, the creep took off on foot in an unknown direction. So, just disturbing. Riverside Drive, normally a safe area of Manhattan. I'm sick to my stomach hearing about this. But this is New York City now. So police did respond. The victim who was raped was brought to Mount Sinai Luke's Hospital. They do have a description of the suspect. Hispanic male in his 40s with a scruffy beard, standing at 5 feet 6 inches and weighing 210 pounds. He was last seen wearing a green-brown camouflage shirt and matching pants. And then here's some decent news. You didn't hear this, and I think I brought this up last week. There were robberies that happened in Central Park. A suspect has been arrested. 34-year-old Andrew Thornton of Auburn, Alabama, was arrested on Thursday, May 6th, and he was charged with 2 counts of each robbery, menacing, and criminal possession of a firearm. So, if you don't remember, there was one incident where There was a bike for sale. That ended up being bad. And then the lady got robbed in Central Park. So, thank goodness this guy was caught. You know, I'm really relieved, but, you know, I would want to avoid Central Park right now just because, again, the city has just become a place you just don't really want to be right now. So I want to get into the lady who has been identified in the murder of Officer Tascos. So her name is Jessica Buavis. She was charged with aggravated manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter, and other crimes for allegedly driving while intoxicating and striking highway patrol officer Anastascos Tascos. So you don't remember, last month, Officer Tascos was responding to another incident. Drunk driver struck him. So then we know the lady arrested is from Long Island, believe it or not. And here we go. Jessica Buavis will be arraigned in Queens Supreme Court in Kew Gardens 2 weeks from tomorrow, May 25th, on a 13-count indictment. So, Queens DA Melinda Katz was on the case, so thank you very much, I guess. Buavis will face up to 15 years in prison if she is convicted. So, she'll be in prison for a while. Alright, so let's just take a look at other stories very quickly. Oh, look at this! More subway crime! Why aren't I surprised about this? Well, there's so much in Queens I could cover, but I'll just make the video too long. I rather would go on than this. This is more urgent. So I'll do 2 more because I am strict for time because I have other stuff I have to do tonight and edit this video. So let's read this. 2 more articles. Man snatches woman's purse in Astoria subway station. Police are searching for a man who stole a woman's handbag at the 46th Street and Broadway Arch train station. This happened on May 2nd, so last Sunday. The 24-year-old woman was just minding her own business when an unidentified man approached her and forcibly removed her purse. This happened at 5:30 p.m. Thankfully, the good news is the credit card was found and was used at a Key Food at 59-12 Roosevelt Avenue. No arrests have been made and the investigation is ongoing. So, one more article, then I'm going to wrap this up because, again, I can cover all the crime in Queens, but I don't really want to make this video too long. So, this is urgent. You know, where is New York 1? They should have covered this. You know, it's not every day that a bank robbery happens in Northwest Queens, but, again, this doesn't surprise me because that's the downward trend of the area lately. Police are searching for a man who robbed a bank in Long Island City earlier last week. Oh, well, it happened last week, but Thursday, May 6th at noon, an unidentified man walked into the Citibank at Court Square. The man walked up to the bank teller, told him that he had a gun, and handed them a note demanding money. So, unbelievable. Happened right by the deli I used to go to. The teller complied and handed the robber $1,115 in cash. The man then left the bank and ran westbound on Jackson Avenue. There is surveillance footage, and there are no arrests, ongoing investigations. So, here's a good look at the suspect. Again, New York 1 could have been covering this, but no. Mac, we'll wrap it up by looking at New York 1's public safety page. Wrap this up. Let's see here. Yep, Eric Adams. Well, at least they showed the officer in Times Square, but again, you won't see this on New York 1. Nope. So, I'm going to wrap this up before I have another tidbiscuit about New York 1 not covering crime. So thank you all very much for watching. There's going to be more crime videos. And again, I'm telling you now, folks, this is a preview of what's going to happen this summer. It's going to be a very, very bad situation here in New York City. I'm going to say this right now. If the bail reform does not get repealed, you're going to see more of these incidents throughout the summer. So thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.